Good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us, just making sure everything's looking fine. Wow, do we have a lot to talk about. So I guess this will be a continuing trend with unelected, in a way, leaders, judges deciding against Trump being on the ballot. In this case, the Secretary of State, who was appointed by the legislature, the way I understand it, has booted Trump off the main ballot. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little bit. We do have a couple of New York issues as well if we get a chance to get to it. Thank you for the virtual waves this morning. We're also going to talk, pardon me, we're also going to talk a little bit here about the presidential race. I know normally we have a little more local, but I think it's that time of year, and boy, we'll be having a lot to talk about when the new year begins. But we already do have a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. Maine Secretary of State said yesterday that former President Trump was ineligible for the state's primary ballot. And it's interesting with primary ballots because I thought really no matter what, that was judged by the party. So you've got the nominee, a potential nominee, leading in the polls overwhelmingly, booted off the ballot for the Republican nomination by a Democrat Secretary of State. It's just very fascinating to me what we're witnessing here in history. And this isn't coming from a biased place. I'm just reporting the news. But if you just look behind the threads a little bit here. Maine Secretary of State, Shenna, is that how you pronounce it? Sheena. It's got to be Sheena. Bellows. I've only seen it written. A Democrat said she had concluded that Trump, quote, over the course of several months and culminating on January 6, 2021, used a false narrative of election fraud to inflame his supporters and direct them to the Capitol to prevent certification of the 2020 election and the peaceful transfer of power. Now, it was a 34-page decision. What stuck out to me, just as a visual thing or I don't know, maybe an audio thing, something to having worked in radio, now television, how she said very much like Colorado continued to say, I, quote, do not reach this conclusion lightly. That seems to be a common thread. And I'm not exactly sure, does that downplay the fact that someone might think that there's political bias here? I'm not sure. She concluded that Trump, quote, was aware of the likelihood for violence and at least initially supported its use, given he both encouraged it with incendiary rhetoric and took no timely action to stop it. I, quote, do not reach this conclusion lightly. Democracy is sacred. There's, again, I know I said this when it happened in Colorado. There's something ironic about talking about democracy when you're taking someone off the ballot. It's just very interesting. And the person who's leading the nomination right now, leading in the polls, not just for the nomination for the Republican Party, but also leading over President Biden. I am mindful that no Secretary of State has ever deprived a presidential candidate of ballot access based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. I'm also mindful, however, that no presidential candidate has ever before engaged in insurrection. So she has decided, by herself actually, as you recall, former Congressman Joe Semplinsky saying on the program when this happened in Colorado that when he was in the Senate, he was not found guilty of insurrection. So I guess it's up now to the Secretary of State of Maine. The oath I swore to uphold the Constitution comes first above all, and my duty under Maine's election laws, when presented with a Section 336 challenge, is to ensure that candidates who appear on the primary ballot are qualified for the office they seek. So he is disqualified from being on Maine. Now, there's going to be a big fight, obviously, just like there is going to be in Colorado, eventually leading, most speculating, to the Supreme Court. And we'll talk to you in just a moment. I've got to take a break. I'll tell you what Trump's people had to say on this. But it's Well, I don't want to run too late. Let's take our first break, and then we'll tell you what Trump's people had to say about what some other people weighing in on this had to say. We're not just going to talk about that this morning because we talked about it extensively with Colorado. This is very similar, but we will continue, and I hope that you will reach out and comment as well. There's the phone number on the bottom of the screen. You can text, leave a voicemail, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox. Stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I'm Jerry. I smoked, and I have late-stage COPD. I'm hoping to get on the lung transplant list, but I don't know if I'll be accepted in time. My children are really worried. My tip is, every morning, give your kids a call or send them a text. It may be the last time that you do.
Call 1-866-NY-QUITS for free help quitting.
Look at that beautiful view of Market Street on this rainy morning. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox again. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're talking about Trump being disqualified from the Maine 2024 Republican primary ballot. As I mentioned before break, and I think it is important to mention this, that the U.S. Senate did not convict the former president after he was impeached by the United States House. So I think that's important. And as a matter of fact, this Bellows, who made this decision, she also bemoaned that fact in tweets at the time, also calling the Capitol attack an insurrection. This is before she made this decision. So Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chong said, quote, "We are witnessing in real time the attempted theft of an election and the disenfranchisement of the American voter. Democrats in blue states are recklessly and unconstitutionally suspending the civil rights of the American voters by attempting to summarily remove President Trump's name from the ballot. Make no mistake, these partisan election interference efforts are a hostile assault on American democracy. Biden and the Democrats simply do not trust the American voter in a free and fair election and are now relying on the force of government institutions to protect their grip on power." Well, I think to that point, let's take a look at it where he says Biden and the Democrats simply do not trust the American voter in free and fair elections. I would say, if you look at it maybe as a Democrat who's watching this all closely, just like Republicans are, and you see that and maybe you want to push back on that statement, but if you really think about it, isn't that what happened to Bernie Sanders supporters? That the powers that be anyway in the Democrat Party said that essentially their own voters, Democrat voters, couldn't be trusted at the time. So they put the quote unquote fix in for Hillary. So I don't think this should come as a surprise. I do. And I actually, Stephen Collinson said it from CNN without completely saying it. But it makes it more difficult to run on the savior of democracy when these type of things are happening. And it plays, as I've said numerous times, if someone doesn't like Trump that much, maybe even hates Trump, I would think you would be looking at this, and please, you see the number on the bottom of the screen. Let me know your opinion. I would love to know. It plays into, anyway, for lack of a better term, what Trump's been saying all along. And that's why when things like this happen, his poll numbers continue to go up. Democratic Representative Jared Golden of Maine, who voted to impeach Trump, as a matter of fact, and does, quote, not believe he should be reelected as president of the United States, he criticized the ruling. We are a nation of laws. Therefore, until he is actually found guilty of the crime of insurrection, he should be allowed on the ballot. Senator Susan Collins of Maine said Maine voters, quote, should decide who wins the election. Now, and this is an important point, not a Secretary of State chosen by the legislature. So just like when we learned that governors appointed those judges in Colorado, again, so that means they never received one vote. We have the same here, vote of the people, same here where you have the Secretary of State being chosen by the legislature. There's some, and I hate to keep using that term, but there is an irony in all of this. Continuing with what Senator Susan Collins said, the Secretary of State's decision would deny thousands of Mainers the opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choice, and it should be overturned. Maine law mandated that Bellows hold a public hearing over the issue, which she did in December. Bellows allowed each side to submit additional arguments after the Colorado Supreme Court's historic December 19th decision. Bellows suspended her ruling until Maine State Superior Court rules on the matter. There you are. Okay, so that's your update. I'm going to give you, when we come back from break, a look at some of what everybody's saying. That's what our goal, of course, on this program is, so you can make the decision for yourself. Stephen Collinson does have a piece at CNN, clearly not a Trump supporter, either CNN or Stephen Collinson. So we're going to talk about that quickly. We will get into a little bit, and I really don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Nikki Haley, the media and the people that were supporting her, I mentioned this yesterday. They're seeming to turn on her. Now, you could say, is it because of the gaffe that she made about the Civil War and slavery? Is it maybe because there started to be whispers that former President Trump may pick her as a VP? I'm not sure, but they are definitely, those who were praising her and propping her up are now turning on her very quickly. So we'll get to that maybe in some depth, and just elections in general and some New York State issues. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We're Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Has hernia mesh surgery left you with pain, cramping, bowel disorder, even more surgery? Signs a bad product may have been used, and you deserve cash for your pain.
A jury has just awarded $41 million to a hernia mesh victim. So call now.
Call the law firm of Betts & Burrill, 855-656-8444.
You may be suffering from a defective product.
855-656-8444, and get the money you deserve.
Enjoy a taste of lakes at Hector Hideaway.
With a lunch and dinner menu, we serve a variety of delicious dishes made with locally sourced ingredients. Dine inside or out on the deck for gorgeous lake views, and pair your meal with a local wine, beer, or beverage. We're open until 9 p.m. Thursday through Monday, but the bar is open until midnight Fridays and Saturdays. Stay tuned for live music. Visit us today at Hector Hideaway.
If you struggle to keep up with conversations, if you have trouble hearing the TV or radio, Nano Hearing Aids wants to help you hear better. Because when you hear better, you're actually going to feel better and live a happier, even healthier life. And Nano Hearing Aids is offering not one, but two very special, possibly once-in-a-lifetime offers. Special offer number one, when you buy any Nano OTC hearing aid, Nano will give you a pair of personal sound amplifiers, absolutely free. If you have a little trouble hearing but don't need a hearing aid, these are great. Special offer two, today Nano is offering an amazing deal on their CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids. Today you can order a full pair of completely in-canal Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. Plus, Nano offers great financing. Payments from only $26.81 a month, 88 cents a day. But supplies are limited, so call now.
1-800-219-0286. 1-800-219-0286.
The holiday season has
arrived, a time where more than ever our thoughts turn gratefully to those who have made our progress possible. We here at Big Fox TV would like to thank you for being our viewers. We wish you all the warmth and goodwill of the season and every happiness throughout the new year. This holiday greeting is also brought to you by caring businesses in the community, our friends at Corning Building Company, Carapella's Collision, and Cutler's Carpet and Flooring. And again, all of us at Big Fox TV.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Receive this comment. Please weigh in at any time over this decision in Maine to take or disqualify former President Trump from the ballot. Quote, and this again, coming from a viewer, the whole in-your-face ballot removal issue should raise eyebrows and trigger investigations into election integrity past and future. Do you think, how much of this, I don't really have any reason to believe this except for the comment of, I do not take this decision lightly. How much of this is Bellows making a name for herself? How much is it for the judges that want their, I'm not even going to say 15 minutes of fame, but being a part of history for better or for worse? At a time when everybody's seeking out fame, just some of the language in this makes me feel that Secretary of State Bellows may be looking for a different position, moving up in the political realm. Just the way that I read, that's just how it fell on my ears, more of a very political statement than necessarily a judicial one, perhaps. So as I mentioned, Stephen Collinson from CNN, not a Trump fan, said Maine pitched the 2024 election into deeper chaos. Chaos has been the word lately. And constitutional confusion by becoming the second state to throw Donald Trump off the ballot. And he has a weird, I don't know why, but a weird sentence. It has already exasperated the havoc already surrounding the election and could cement ever wilder national divides. Well, could it? Could unelected politicians, unelected what other word could you use? Judges or Secretary of State taking the person leading the Republican nomination right now, if you look at every poll, leading by a lot, taking that person off the ballot and not allowing residents of their state to vote for the candidate they choose, it could create wider national divides. I think that goes without saying. I mean, at a time when we're so divided in this country, these are the kind of things that don't help heal that divide. But also, again, I'm going to keep saying this point, it goes back to what the former president has been saying from the beginning, that he's there fighting for the forgotten men and women. So if you are a Trump supporter, don't you see that and say, wait a minute, they're saying I shouldn't even have a voice. I shouldn't even get to decide. I don't agree with much of what Collinson says in this piece, but I will say that it has, if you want to use the word chaos, it has created more chaos and constitutional confusion. And then he talked about Nikki Haley and her gaffe, and this may be to my point of why are they turning on Nikki Haley so much? Not just because of the gaffe, but why so much before even the gaffe? Is it because maybe she was going to be picked as VP? Maybe. It didn't sound like that, but it was talk for a while. Or is it this? The drama surrounding the former South Carolina governor less than 3 weeks before voting starts is also having the effect of easing the scrutiny on Trump, who has caused many more scandals and outrages during his gravity-defying political career, many which are related to the 2020 election denialism behind his swirling legal exposure. Was that maybe one of the reasons they started turning on her? They didn't like the attention she was getting. Yeah, but that kind of negates that point, doesn't it? It's really interesting. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. Maybe you have a thought or opinion on it. Please weigh in. But I'll just real quick, I'll wrap up with this. Stephen Collinson. The controversy, however, also raises new questions, this meaning what Maine decided. Not the people of Maine, mind you, the Secretary of State, who was appointed by the legislature. The controversy, however, also raises new questions over whether efforts to make Trump pay for January 6th are justified on the grounds of protecting America's democracy from a uniquely pernicious challenge, or could backfire politically against President Joe Biden and Democrats next fall. So think of how they're looking at that from just Joe Biden and Democrats from the political standpoint. Couldn't you say, well, taking someone off the ballot in the name of defending democracy is also undemocratic? If you accept the point that he's uniquely a threat to democracy, Donald Trump, you make sure to protect the American people from that by taking away their democratic rights, taking away or actually imposing a threat to democracy in the name of protecting a democracy. I just find that very interesting. But anyway, so that's why really the whole reason I brought up that piece by Stephen Collinson, kind of getting to the edges of what should be said, but not quite willing to lay it all out. Oh, by the way, on the other side of the coin, California, their Secretary of State, has left Donald Trump on the 2024 ballot. California voters will have the option to select former President Trump in the 2024 GOP presidential primary, despite calls from the state's lieutenant governor to remove him from the ballot. Think of that. Doesn't this go back to what I'm saying? Just think of that sentence. Californians will have the option to select former President Trump. The man leading in the polls will now have that option. Not considered a right. It's a little tricky when you're talking primary. But California voters will have the right to select, but this says the option, meaning the right to vote. I'm not saying that you have to pick Trump at all. I'm just saying that, yes, I guess it has the option of the man leading in every single poll, even though the state lieutenant governor called to remove him. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record and belabor this point, but how does that party then run? Not in this case. I mean, specifically, the California Secretary of State did the right thing and left Trump on the ballot. But in general, these people trying to make this decision, or the person pushing for it, like this, California's lieutenant governor, how do these people then run on, meaning Democrats, run on protecting democracy? I'd love to hear your take on it. I know not everybody watches this program is a Trump supporter or hates Trump or what. Everybody has their opinions on this, and that's why we try to present all sides to it, and that's why we heard from Stephen Collinson earlier, and that's why that piece was just the facts laid out. We're going to get to Nikki Haley's As They Put It Here by Julian Zelzer, another CNN piece. Nikki Haley's big mistake. When we come back, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
The Ranger XD 1500, offering unprecedented capability, brute strength, and unmatched comfort.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste, and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth, without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time, get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
It's all types to play Family Feud, the blunt mama.
If you knew Steve Harvey was at your door, you'd answer it wearing what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Weeknights at 7 and 7:30 on.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So I know I was going to mention Julian Zelzer, but the idea here is, and it's an opinion piece you can find at CNN, that Nikki Haley's big mistake, that gaffe, there was something more nefarious behind it than a typical political gaffe. That it actually struck at, quote, the heart of a decades-long power struggle over our nation's history. And wrapping up here, because it's quite a lengthy piece, saying, though the fierce response to Haley's statements comes at a moment when many educators are extraordinarily frustrated and upset by the right's efforts to erase and revise U.S. history. So that's what they're suggesting that she has done here. Again, backtracking on it, making a mistake, but they're reading something nefarious into her original mistake. Though her answer this week might have very well been a slip-up, many observers understandably fear that Haley was in fact trying to tap into a reactionary sentiment that has refused to confront the reality of our past, contributing to one of the biggest obstacles that prevents the country from fulfilling its promise of equality. Then, and this is what I mean when I was talking about earlier, isn't it interesting how the tables have turned on Nikki Haley from what was once a kind of a praise and a building up, if you will? Maybe they just realized that her numbers, even though they were improving New Hampshire, maybe they weren't going quickly enough, and maybe they said, well, let's focus on I guess going after all Republicans as they normally do. I don't know. It's interesting. But Stephen Collinson had another piece of CNN basically saying this was the worst possible moment for this to happen to Nikki Haley, and saying that it's not going to hurt, painting Republicans in a pretty negative light. But the sudden campaign storm caused by Haley's New Hampshire remarks may not cause her immediate damage in a Republican primary among base voters who are likely to see it as fueled by liberals and media outlets they distrust. But anything that hurts her campaign could help Trump. And the issue could arise again when the race turns to South Carolina primary in February that could represent a final showdown in the GOP nominating clash. The GOP nominating clash. Would you just, well, I guess clash because they go after each other, but numbers-wise it's not. And in New Hampshire, the controversy could hurt on the margins if Haley is seeking to attract independents and Democrat voters who want to oppose Trump from coming into her camp. All right. So that's probably, well, I know her opponents went after Vivek Ramaswamy, tweeted out, turns out Nikki knows as little about the Civil War as she does about the Ukraine war. But whatever war it was, I'm sure she's in favor of it. Oof. Ron DeSantis calling it an incomprehensible word salad. Haley is not a candidate that's ready for prime time, and she's gotten a pretty free ride from a lot of the corporate press. The minute that she faces any type of scrutiny, she tends to cave, and I think that's what you saw yesterday. That's Ron DeSantis there. All right. Now, Nikki Haley did go on later to blame it on a Democrat plant. She said, of course, the Civil War was about slavery. That's the easy part. Yes, I know it was about slavery. I'm from the South, she said. And that's why I know they're going to read nefarious things into it. That's what happens when a politician makes a mistake. But to me, it did seem just like a gaffe, maybe caught off guard with the question. But then she said, why are they hitting me? See this for what it is. They want to run against Trump. In town halls, I answer every question. And they are planting questions there. It was definitely a Democrat plant. When asked him He didn't want to answer. He didn't give reporters his name, she claimed. Interesting. Then she got attacked, I guess, was it the same town hall? I got a little confused by reading this. A 9-year-old. And I'm going to... I don't know. What do you think about this? It's interesting how political parties play this. I remember in the early days of the Tea Party, when there would be a kid there, a child there with maybe some political type sign or political type shirt, the media was in hysterics saying this is wrong, it's propaganda, it's brainwashing these kids. But then you saw them at the rally when Trump was inaugurated, and you saw the same thing, and, you know, there was outrage on both sides. So this is one of those political issues that I guess it's just kind of a hypocritical one, that you're only mad when it's the other side. But in this case, I do have to say, well, it was a 9-year-old kid. And he says, Chris Christie thinks you're a flip-flopper on the Donald Trump issue. And honestly, I agree with him. You're basically the new John Kerry. How can you change your opinion like that in just 8 years? And will you pardon Donald Trump? So this person, I don't know, maybe a Trump fan, maybe not a Nikki Haley fan. 9 years old, though, talking about the John Kerry flip-flopper. Not controversy, but talking point during that campaign in 2004. Something mathematically doesn't add up there. He spent much of his 2004 presidential campaign fighting charges that he had flip-flopped and opposing the war in Iraq after voting to authorize the use of military force against Saddam Hussein. You remember that. But 2004, I just find it intriguing, and I'm sure he had some help along the way. Maybe he learned about it in one of his classes. But a 9-year-old referencing, not just referencing John Kerry, because I think you could do that, but referencing the flip-flopper issue at the time. Kind of interesting. All right, we're going to get away from Nikki Haley here. We've got a few things about Joe Biden, a few things here about former President Trump, maybe a little international. I do want to get to just a couple quick New York State issues. Feel free to weigh in on anything that we're discussing this morning. Oh, I can't forget this, and I hope to remind you at least one more time. I think I brought this up on the program last week. If not, I apologize. But be ready for Monday's special event. Monday right here on Big Fox, January the 1st. Ring in the new year, but not till 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, 8 to 10 o'clock at night. But the MASH comedy special. It's MASH, the comedy that changed television. An all new 2-hour celebration of television's most influential sitcom. It's got new interviews with cast members like Alan Alda, Gary Berghoff, William Christopher, Jamie Farr, Mike Farrell, etc., etc. And plus rarely seen archival interviews with people like Harry Morgan, McLean Stevenson. So that is coming up, because I know many of you, and I'll be the first to admit that I do this a lot, almost every night, watch some of the old MASH reruns on MeTV. So I think this will be fun to watch from 8 to 10 p.m. on Monday, January 1st, right here on Big Fox. All right, don't miss it. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
If you struggle to keep up with conversations, if you have trouble hearing the TV or radio, Nano Hearing Aids wants to help you hear better. Because when you hear better, you're actually going to feel better and live a happier, even healthier life. And Nano Hearing Aids is offering not one, but 2 very special, possibly once-in-a-lifetime offers. Special offer number 1, when you buy any Nano OTC hearing aid, Nano will give you a pair of personal sound amplifiers, absolutely free. If you have a little trouble hearing but don't need a hearing aid, these are great. Special offer 2. Today, Nano is offering an amazing deal on their CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids. Today, you can order a full pair of completely in-canal Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. Plus, Nano offers great financing. Payments from only $26.81 a month. That's around 88 cents a day. But supplies are limited, so call now.
1-800-759-6001.
The Nano CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids are extremely easy to use, and they're nearly invisible. And since they're completely in canal, nothing shows on the back of your ear. So most people will never even see them. And today you can purchase a pair of fully rechargeable CIC Recharge OTC hearing aids for only $297. This is one amazing deal, but Nano has a second incredible deal. Because when you buy a Nano CIC Recharge at the low price of $297, Nano will give you a pair of Nano Personal Sound Amplifiers free. So you'll get both a pair of OTC hearing aids and a pair of personal sound amplifiers for only $297. That's $297 for both. Payments on the CIC Recharge start at $26.81 a month. That's 88 cents a day. But remember, supplies are limited. Once they're gone, this offer is gone and will not be repeated. So call now.
1-800-759-6001. 1-800-759-6001.
Thank you so much for joining us on this morning's broadcast of Frankly Speaking on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Before we get back into presidential and maybe some other international issues, I wanted to bring it back to New York because I don't want to forget this if we run out of time. So the redistricting commission to redraw those maps here in New York State met for the first time in Albany yesterday. Now, why is that important? The state's independent redistricting commission met in Albany Thursday, the first time since being ordered earlier this month by New York's highest court to redraw congressional lines. So they meet for the first time, even though they were told towards the beginning of the month. So you've lost a full month. But remember, the deadline for this, and by the way, this was just basically a constitutional meeting. This was about just procedural issues. They even admitted that it wasn't going to, quote, satisfy nationwide interest in the outcome of the redistricting process, because many people are looking to what happens in New York because it has implications on who controls the House in 2025. Because remember, and this was their words, many people's words that supported this even, that the last lines were drawn in a way that made them some districts extremely competitive, which I would think is what you want from a congressional race. But I guess because it didn't necessarily go the way Albany had hoped, and Governor Hochul and others had hoped, that it's time to reconsider those. But they have their first meeting, so they lose almost a month. Remember, the deadline is February 28th, 2024. Next year. February, it's December 29th. And I thought it was March 1st, but former Congressman Joe Semplinsky said the other day, I think it must be March 1st, right around there. It's that's when congressional candidates have to start getting their petitions out there. Now, Joshua Solomon is suggesting that the New York congressional maps may remain similar with proposal. The state legislature may be left to consider whether to adopt congressional boundaries that are very similar to the ones already in place when lawmakers vote on establishing those for the remainder of the decade, following a recent Court of Appeals ruling that restarted the process. The whole thing is turned on process, said Commission Vice Chair Charles Nesbitt. No one has declared the map illegal or inappropriate in any way, continued Nesbitt. It turns on the process. So that is sort of the same situation we faced with the assembly, and we did what we did. And everything we do here, you can look at as precedent. Will we follow the process exactly? That remains to be seen. But you can be instructed by our earlier results. So could be similar. That it's more about the process is what others said on both sides of the aisle. We will see. We will watch closely. I just want to give you that update. It's funny how Albany works sometimes. I know it's a commission, but imagine being told by your boss, hey, at the beginning of the month, you've got a short deadline, so you better get your work group together and start working on that. And you wait until December 28th when the deadline is less than 2 months away. Okay, back to the national front. James Bovard, and it's a very lengthy piece. I would just recommend it, just before we go to break, I wanted to recommend it to you. Joe Biden and the left are putting the rule of law at risk. And he goes through some various avenues where he believes this. One being trying to erase student debt for votes, and the way he's circumvented the court's decision to continue down that process, basically making it sound like he has unlimited power to waive any obligation to the federal government. But maximizing dependency is a recipe for perpetrating Biden's power. The Biden administration canceled the food stamp work requirements for able-bodied adults without children as well in 2021. Anyway, this goes through, it's about 5 or 6 pieces, but it goes through some of the things you may have forgotten through the years, and I thought it may be worth your time because we still have a lot to get to, and we have very little time to get there. Also, because we're going to move away from Joe Biden here for just a moment, but I think a lot of people, really on both sides of the aisle, have been somewhat critical of Harris, or maybe not critical of Vice President Harris, but maybe not fully supporting her, or a little nervous that she could be a detriment to the campaign, because obviously there's major concerns with Biden and his age, and this is coming from both parties, as the media talks about it, with his age and his physical and mental health. So people are thinking, well, what happens, heaven forbid, something were to happen to the president, who would be next? And you start to think about Harris, and Harris hasn't really made what you could consider a splash. Some of her responses and very quiet. Never mind about the responses, but not very out front as some vice presidents have been in the past. Well, according to Basil Smikle from CNN, it's an opinion piece, Kamala Harris is not a liability. She may be Democrats' best weapon. I would recommend that you check this out for yourself. We can't go through all of it, just like the last piece that was maybe more critical of Biden. This is very supportive of Harris. Much of the tiresome chatter within the Washington Beltway in recent months has tried to raise doubts about Harris's readiness to lead, should she ever be called upon to step in for Biden. Sadly, some Democrats may be culpable in allowing those narratives to gather steam. That's especially unfortunate because nitpicky critiques have only served to obscure the public's appreciation of what has been a highly successful administration. That I was not aware of. This is very much like when they tell us the economy is actually doing really well. You don't necessarily feel it. I have not seen, and so that is just anecdotal, I have not seen the public's appreciation of what has been a highly successful administration. And I don't think the administration has seen that either, as they are concerned about polling, as you see them changing their tune on certain issues in hopes of securing more votes. Democrats must embrace what Republicans have long feared, that this vice presidency is not just about advancing Washington's policymaking interests, it's also about a bridge to the party's future, helmed by one of the most unflailing party leaders there is, a black woman. That's coming from CNN and Basil Smikle, also saying that not only is she the Democrats' best weapon, or Biden's best weapon, Democrats' best weapon moving forward. So again, find that for yourself at CNN. Basil Smikle. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Attention Marines and their family members who spent time at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. If you've been diagnosed with cancer, Parkinson's disease, or other serious illnesses, you could have been exposed to toxic water and may be eligible for significant compensation. Call the law firm of Betts & Burrell right now. Consultations are free and you won't pay a fee unless we get you the money you deserve. Call 877-775-5199 and speak to an attorney today.
Stay tuned. This 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design
is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable. So use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value, yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-603-3404 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-603-3404, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
All right. I've been going on so many tangents this morning that we are running late, so I have another break coming up shortly. But I wanted to bring this story to you just quickly. The New York Post suggests we are going to see a lot more of Barron Trump. That Barron is set for a new public role. Now, this is coming from a well-placed source, so take it however you want. The Barron Trump's appearance in a family Christmas photo proves that Melania and former President Trump are in lockstep with one another. Now, Melania was not in that photo. They tried to make that controversial at first, but she is caring for her sick mother. Here's a photo of the photo. Here's a picture of the photo. There, how's that? But Barron's appearance in this photo is truly monumental, according to Melania's former senior aide, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, that Barron's been kept out of the limelight, and that was very strategic. Melania's decision to include Barron in this family activity, even if she couldn't be there herself, might be a significant turning point, potentially fostering a new level of support between Melania and Donald. Barron's appearance is truly monumental and shows Donald and Melania are in lockstep with one another. I believe we will see more of him now, meaning Barron, nothing happens by chance with Melania. All right. Whatever that's worth for you, I wanted to bring it to you. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks are a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen One, the portable oxygen concentrator you can take almost anywhere.
With this little device, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
The Inogen One is so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen One for 30 days completely risk-free. Give us a call right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days completely risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen One system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 1-800-929-7290. Again, that's 1-800-929-7290.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
All right, we're jumping right back in. No music or anything. That's how fast we've got to move to get through everything here. There's an interesting look from The Guardian about, if you look back, you know, how everything in the news, it's tough to find news. That's why, I mean, not here, not if you watch it here. But if you go to some of your outlets that you normally go to, it's, you know, what foods not to eat. How are you going to get your New Year's resolution? And, you know, it's all those type of things. But they did do a look back at the year 2023 at The Guardian. And looking at what happened in Congress is pretty fascinating. It says, from removing a House Speaker and expelling an indicted member, it was not a great year for America's representatives. Now, this is coming from, I think, more of a slanted position. But if you take it at face value and just look at some of the things we went through in Congress this year, it is pretty fascinating. Yeah, the original battle for the gavel, which there were so many people I knew that were watching that as if it were a sporting event. Whether McCarthy would get it, and you had the back and forth, and it was very wonky. So it was entertaining for political people. It was actually kind of entertaining for people that don't really follow it that closely. Then I think this is overhyped. On the brink of economic collapse because they had the debt ceiling. Anyway. Then you have the indicted senator from New Jersey. What do they call him now? Gold bricks. Senator Robert Menendez. Years-long charged with years-long bribery scheme where they found gold bricks and everything. Then you had the chairs declared vacant. Then McCarthy's out. Then you had the battle for the gavel part 2 with a guy named Mike Johnson coming out when the smoke cleared, which was interesting as we learn more about him. Then there was that near fight in the Senate. And then you had Santos out and now making a fortune on Cameo, calling your friends and loved ones if you're willing to pay and wishing them a happy new year. And now McCarthy announced, as you know, that he'll be resigning at the end of December. So he's done. McCarthy's done. Almost forgot about that. So he'll be out. All right, that was a quick look. We've got our last break, and then we're going to really wrap things up. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox.
Turned down for Social Security disability? Help is here.
Let us get you the Social Security disability check you deserve.
Call the law firm of Betts & Burrill now, 888-333-1599.
We know how to fight for your rights. Social Security disability is complex. Put our experience to work for you, and there's no fee until we put money in your pocket.
Denied Social Security disability? Call the law firm of Betts & Burrill at 888-333-1599.
Tired of and that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before. Hammered pans are ultra non-stick and they're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie or this whole chicken dinner. Use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips right out. Plus the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
Call 1-800-608-1538 or go to buyhammered.com.
Thank you again for joining us here on Frankly Speaking. Another quick edition. Went so fast. We had so much to cover. As I said, a lot of outlets don't seem to have all the news that we're able to pack in just an hour. Rashida Tlaib branded Benjamin Netanyahu a genocidal maniac and warned she won't ever forget the colleagues that met with him. Now, she's, of course, a member of the squad, tweeting out, "Genocidal maniac. Every member of Congress who sits down with this murderer is supporting a war criminal." sharing a graphic from left-wing independent news outlet Democracy Now!, claiming that Netanyahu is, quote, working to move Palestinians out of Gaza. We will never, ever forget, she added. I'm so sick and tired of our country funding and supporting a genocide and war on children. Please don't stop talking about Palestine. To piggyback off that on the complete opposite side, Douglas Murray has a fantastic piece that came out yesterday at the New York Post. Hamas's philosophy: all civilians, all children, are tools of war. Much of the world continues to condemn Israel for waging its war against Hamas. As the casualty figures on both sides grow, Israel is facing the usual calls for a ceasefire, a call which this country has rightly not joined in. But as well as the Hamas's supporters and anti-Semites who hurl accusations against Israel, whatever it does, there are also well-meaning people who generally do not seem to understand the war that Israel is fighting. And I don't think that's with Tlaib. But I do give some people the benefit of the doubt that are using the same talking points because they've been misled by the media. They've been misled by maybe politicians that they support. Every time a home is destroyed in Gaza or a civilian building is targeted, much of the world seems bewildered and outraged. They don't understand. This is why I think he's got a good point. There are genuine, well-meaning people that look at it and go, well, that doesn't seem right. It's because Hamas, every death is because of Hamas in this scenario. Well, for instance, take the case the other week when photos emerged of Hamas terrorists in Gaza stripped to their underwear by the IDF. There's outrage in the media. People who had no desire to speak up when Israeli women were raped suddenly seemed furious as suspected terrorists might have been stripped down to their underwear. They don't realize there's potential for suicide bombs and the like. Again, I'm out of time, but they go through really graphic stories here about, and again, a lot of it's the media. A lot of the media uses, unfortunately, Hamas's talking points. I think it's led a lot of people that if they could really see behind that curtain and see what's actually going on, to change their opinions on it. But that's why we're concerned here that if Biden continues, Biden's been doing good on it, but he's starting to show a little more weakness. And when does it all change? That's hopefully we don't see that, but history makes us all a little nervous. Yeah, that's it. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to everybody who joined us through almost a full year. I think we started in March, so it's been a wild ride. So I can't wait to start 2024 with you, because you can only imagine what 2024 is going to look like here on Frankly Speaking, and it's going to be a blast. So you'll have to join us every weekday morning starting at 7. And don't forget The MASH, the comedy that changed television documentary on Fox on January 1st starting at 8 p.m. Have a great, safe New Year's, folks. Great and safe New Year's. And join us on Tuesday for Frankly Speaking. Again, starting at 7 a.m. only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I look forward to it already. So